This is BNN, the Bennington News Network.
So, Gene, this question does start with you. It is number 10. It's the final of the night. Remember, you have 2 minutes or less to tell us your feelings on the legalization of marijuana.
Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Can I have 2 minutes to think? I went to the meeting. I did go to the Dixiers and when they were here. There were 3 things that came out of that meeting now. I hope I can think of the 3. There was one thing someone said, I think several people said it, and that was follow the science. I thought that was key, follow the science. One person said, it's here. Marijuana is here in our community. It's readily available, and it's not going to go away. So perhaps we need to think about how to deal with that. Whether it's legalization, I don't know, but I thought that was key. And I can't remember the third. How I personally feel about it, I don't know how I personally feel about it yet. I think it's something that needs to be thought through, talked about, researched, learn from other states' mistakes possibly. That was the third thing, move slow down, move slow. And I agree with all 3 of those statements. I think we should not shut the door, but we shouldn't open it wide yet.
Thank you. Tom, the question goes to you.
That's a great response, Gene. It covers the waterfront because, I guess in the perfect world, I would say I don't care about my personal opinion. I'm on the select board and I represent the community, not my personal views. So that's just not a fair way to respond, especially in 2 minutes. But I do think if, and I expect when legalization occurs, we should be prepared. We shouldn't be waiting for what do we do now. I think we should be proactive in determining whether or not we want to, as part of our ordinances, deal with it up front so that when, and I think it's going to be not an if, it might not be this legislative term, and from what I understand, that's not going to be the case. When it happens, I want to be ready. Unlike the solar situation, where all of a sudden it was here, and what we do now, and we sort of started to backfill, and I think we got the backfill result. But again, the legislature wasn't particularly helpful in giving us the tools. So I think we should be proactive and anticipate that that's going to happen. It's not. I don't think it's a front burner for the next select board as an item that they have to deal with right off, but I think the board does have to give that serious thought.
Thank you. Jeannie?
Well, I think I like the cautious approach that the legislature seems to be taking. I do think that it makes sense for all of us to be very aware of the impact on youth and brain development. I think the arguments about standardizing the quality of marijuana make a lot of sense. With any drug, there's a risk, so I think having a standardizing dosage essentially does make some sense. I also like the idea of making sure that law enforcement understands what they should be looking for and knows how to move forward on that front. And then I do think that there is a lot of information out there from other states and from other countries, and we should be learning from others as we go. I agree with Tom that I think this is not an if, it's a when. And I appreciate that we're moving forward on this in a measured way, so that the decisions we make are not rash and they have thought and data behind them. Thank you.
John?
Yes, I think that the select board's role really is to be ready. I agree it's probably inevitable. I think the legislative bill and amendments that the governor's proposed have gone a long way to try to put in safeguards and things like that, but I think it still leaves a lot for the town to fill in the blanks, especially the basic questions of, do you want to declare yourself a dry town? Do you want, if not, if you're going to allow businesses in, then they need to be permitted. That would require some zoning changes and things like that. So I think we need to get to work now on what, if and when it comes, what do we want it to look like? And not just let it come to us, but let's get out and try to do our best job to make the best of it that we can. I think decriminalizing, separating it from the hard stuff is a good idea. I hear all the stories about prohibition. We know that didn't work very well. If you can separate the marijuana, and that I think is probably a very good thing. But in it also you can then start controlling who sells it, where it's distributed, maybe the quality of what's being distributed. Those are some of the positives. But you also have to protect the young in particular. I'm very concerned about the young. I have 3 sons. They've all gone different ways, and it scares me. The brain damage, the lack of motivation. We are dependent in large part on our youth for our future in terms of being creative, being hardworking, doing that Vermont tradition. And so we need to make sure that we protect them with enforcement rules and procedures.
Thank you. Mike?
As the athletic director of Southern Vermont College, this is really a challenging issue for me personally, as well as for our state. We as a society have never dealt very well with the concept of prohibition. Whatever it is we prohibit, we find a way to achieve it anyway. And so I listen with a keen ear to the arguments about making the use of marijuana safer and removing the criminal component, trying to get control on the marketplace. I think that those are all real aspects of the question. But Jean mentioned the science. From my perspective, it's what impact does it have not only on truly young people, but young people who are still moving towards their goals of adulthood through the education process. And what does an institution like Southern Vermont College or Bennington College or a community college of Vermont, how do they respond to the potential broader use of marijuana? The bottom line for me is that we're just not ready yet. I think all of the concerns that everybody has expressed at the table still need a lot more thought. And yes, I envision a day to come when marijuana is legal on many different levels, but I think we need more time.